Hey everybody, it's Jessica from the Family Flips, and I'm bringing you another video today. My husband and I are pallet flippers, which means that we buy large quantities of liquidated goods and we sell them locally and online for profit. So check this out. Buying liquidated goods online can be really helpful, especially if you live in a place where you just don't have a lot of options for facilities around your area locally. Joe and I have been buying liquidated goods, pallets, lots online for the better part of maybe a year and a half, and we've learned a lot of things. And I want to save you the heartache of making some mistakes by giving you some practical tips on how to source these items online and how to get the best bang for your buck. Okay, so the first thing that I want to cover before we jump onto the computer and really look at some online auctions is I want to talk about condition. Every liquidator has some variation of the same condition listing. There are a lot of different ways that they may list them. They may use a little bit of different words, but everything is pretty much the same. In a lot of places, you'll find grades. So the first thing I want to talk about is the cosmetic condition. You might find something between grade A to grade D. And A is going to be your really good cosmetic condition. Now remember, cosmetic is what's on the outside. They're going to be new or like new. They're going to look really clean, really nice. They're going to be a lot easier to sell, but they're also going to cost a little bit more. And then you're going to go all the way down to cosmetic grade D. Now, cosmetic grade D is going to be kind of scratched up, very obviously used. You're not going to be able to sell it as new, and they may not even really be working. Maybe they've been damaged in transit, or maybe they're an uninspected return. And in that case, you really don't know. But when we're talking about cosmetic condition, we're not necessarily talking about whether the item works. We're talking about how it looks on the outside. You can have a grade A cosmetic condition item that does not work, and you can have a grade D cosmetic condition that works just fine. So keep that in mind when you're looking at grading scales. Each liquidation, like I said, each facility is different. Not just, you can go to like liquidation.com and they have different facilities all over the country. So their grading scales are all going to be a little bit different. If you're really wanting to get kind of a precise idea of what that condition is going to be like and what they use to grade those items, I would call that particular facility directly, and you can find their numbers online. However, we do have another grading scale, and I really feel like this is much more important, and this is your conditions in terms of the quality of the items. You're going to find all different types of cosmetic conditions online, but really, for the most part, every liquidation facility that you see online is going to fall somewhere in between these four major categories. So the first major category is overstock. And overstock is exactly what it sounds like. It is items that have been pulled from manufacturers or retailers, and they have simply had too much of the item. It didn't even make it on the shelf, or maybe it's like seasonal overstock, or they just had to make room for the new stuff, so they had to move all these stuff that didn't sell, the older stuff, and they had to get rid of it. Overstock items are generally going to be very good in quality. They're going to be new. They may not even have their boxes opened. They're going to be relatively undamaged. And if you find a lot, a box or a pallet of overstock items, you're generally going to find more than one. You'll find like all of the stuff that came off out of that individual retail store is probably going to be on that one pallet. So keep that in mind. The risk is a lot lower for overstock items, obviously, because there's less chance that those items will be damaged. So that also means that they'll generally go for a lot more. So, and we'll look a little bit into that. All right, so the second condition that we're going to talk about is my personal favorite, which is shelf pulls. Shelf pulls are items that have not been in a customer's hands. They have not gone home with them, and they've not been returned. So you have a less chance, the risk is a lot lower that these items have been damaged or have been victim of return fraud in any way. But what you will find are some cosmetic blemishes in some shelf pulls. some of it is going to be in perfect condition. I find shelf pulls to be a majority of shelf pulls. I find to be in very, very good condition. Sometimes the box hasn't even been opened. I can sell them brand new. I find some others that maybe the box has been opened. The items have been pulled out. Or even then, sometimes I find things that was damaged in transit. If you buy something from Walmart.com and it had a little rough way of getting to you and the box is damaged, well, a lot of times people they won't keep the item. They'll return that item and get a new one with an undamaged box because it prevents the chance that that item is damaged. A lot of times things get injured when being moved in the warehouse. You've got those big pallets that people have stuff on. You put the forklift in, you lift it up, you move it over, and it actually gets dented or gets knocked in. That is something that would be put on a shelf pull pallet. So be aware that there will be some damaged items. Most of it will be in working condition. You may find a few things that are just not salvageable. But it's probably one of my personal favorites because I always have really, really good luck with shelf pull items. Now the third one is customer returns. There's obviously going to be a little more risk with customer returns. So these are items that a customer has purchased or ordered online. They brought it home. It could be something as simple as, they thought it was going to fit in the space that they needed and it doesn't fit. Or they thought that they ordered one color, but they got a different color. And so those items are going to be perfect. They're going to be like new in box. So with customer returns, you may find items that are new in box that the customer just didn't want, didn't need. Maybe they had a baby shower and they got two of the same item and they returned one. And depending on that particular retailer or manufacturer's return policy, it may not go back on the shelf and it may end up in a liquidator's pallet, in which turn it comes to the reseller. There are also, however, cases of return fraud, which is usually, and I've received a lot of these with customer return pallets, where, like, for example, one time we looked at the box and the box looked pretty good. And we were like, oh, okay. And we made the mistake of, before inspecting the item, looking up the box. There was a UPC code on there. We looked it up and it was a very, very nice $50 diaper genie. And we're like, oh, this is awesome. Like $50, that's great. But when we looked inside, somebody had replaced that diaper genie with their old, maybe $20 diaper genie, put it in the box and returned it to get their money back, and ended up getting their new expensive diaper genie for free. That's return fraud. It is illegal, but it happens. And so a lot of times we find those in pallets. So just be aware that customer returns, you're going to have a wider variety of what you might find on those pallets, but they still serve a chance of being very, very profitable. And I buy customer returns a lot. Actually, that's probably the most of what I've bought. Joe and I have bought. And we've ended up doing pretty well. And there are some pallets where we ended up not doing well at all. So there is a bigger risk there. But your chances of profiting are still pretty high. And then the last condition that I want to talk about is salvage. Salvage condition are items that are essentially going to be sold for parts. I would not expect items to be in excellent condition, and I would not expect them to be working if they're an item that, is plugged in, or like electronics or anything like that. Yeah, so they're going to sell for a lot less. You can take a gamble on those. I usually don't like to mess with salvage condition, but there are a lot of people that do know how to work salvage condition and make some money on it. So those are the 4 main ratings. Between different liquidation centers, you're going to find maybe different wording, but basically that's the gist of what condition looks like. So now I'm online, I am shopping for pallets or lots or boxes or whatever, liquidated items that I'm looking for. And I decide on whether I want, Overstock shelf pulls, and I find some items that I'm interested in bidding on or buying. What do I do next? Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to look for a manifest. For those of you who don't know what a manifest is going to be a list of items that are on the pallet. If you have a manifest with your pallet, it is likely going to sell for more because the risk is lower. If you're noticing a trend, the lower the risk, the higher the pallet's going to sell for, because the more likely you're going to know whether or not you're going to profit off this pallet. The higher the risk, the lower the pallet price, because there are not many people who are willing to take that risk. And that's for you. That's an individual's decision. What type of risk you're going to want to make with that pallet, with each pallet. I tend to be a little more on the safe side. Joe tends to be a little more risky. So we kind of balance each other out, and it makes it really, really fun. We usually sometimes we'll get into like selling competition. We'll order pallets and we'll see whose pallet makes the most money. And many times Joe's risky pallets, they turn out really, really well, and many times they do not. So it's a lot of fun. We make it a lot of fun. But anyway, I want to show you what a manifest looks like. Not every manifest is going to look like this, but on bulk.com, I really like their manifest. They are generally going to be more accurate than a lot of other liquidations because they have a guarantee. But let me swap over here. Let me show you my screen and what I'm looking at. So this is bulk.com. These are just general merchandise lots. I pulled up a couple so you could kind of see what a manifest looks like. So this is general merchandise. The original retail, the MSRP is, about $1,500. I would not rely on that right there. It's really hard to tell. I know that with bulk.com, they do have 98% accurate, or they'll refund the difference. So they do really, really well with their manifest, but not everybody is like that. And other places, they don't even have manifests at all. So like I said, the higher the risk, the less the pallet will likely go for. So that's where you need to calculate. So a lot of times with these, because this is a manifest, because of the accuracy of these manifests, a lot of times these pallets or these lots will go for a lot higher. I really like the organization that bulk.com has for theirs, because it's just really, it's really good. And you're always going to have some like unknown merchandise. But you also, with a lot of their products, you'll find their UPC, which you can look up online what it's selling for. And you can look up the ASIN, which this tells me when there's an ASIN here, it's telling me that this was an Amazon lot. Now this is brand new Amazon items, so you'll see that it's never been opened, fully functional, retail ready, retail packaging. So this is going to be lots of new stuff. The chances of it being damaged or broken is going to be very, very low. It's a lot of smaller items here, so it's probably not going to sell for that much. But you'll see that there's a quantity here, that there's an ASIN, there's a UPC, and you're going to be able to see all of that. Even here, you'll actually have bulk.com will actually kind of, they'll break down like the brands and the amount of each brand that's in each category. Here's another one that I was looking at. This is Bath and Beauty. They're estimating $834. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend relying on that, just because you don't know the condition of these items, so you don't know if they're going to be able to be sold for what they think it's going to be sold for. These are unexpected returns. Oops. Surprise. This is uninspected returns, which means that there may be some brand new unopened items in here, and there may be some salvage items in here. It actually says that items range in condition from brand new to salvage. There may be missing some items, missing some things. So this is a little bit of a higher risk. But you do have a manifest, which is nice. So you'll have the ASIN here, so you know that this is from Amazon. You've got the UPC code here, and you've got all of these product names, and you can probably even, you can click on it, you can look it up and actually see what the product looks like. These are actually the stock images, so it's not the actual item in the product, but you can at least know what it is. Now, keep in mind also, when you're looking at a manifest, a lot of times you may find a manifest that says, oh, there are 5 of this item here. Like say, this K Bella Happy Mother's Day Professional face mask set, whatever that is. This right here. Oh, I was about to say, I was like, that doesn't look like a face mask set. Okay, this right here. And that's what they think it is. And then when you get it in, it may be something entirely different. So yes, a lot of times you may have an accurate manifest, but a lot of times you may not. So I've actually seen lots and have heard of resellers who have purchased pallets because there is this high value item on there that's going to pay for the whole pallet when they sell it. And it was on the manifest and they knew it, but when they got the pallet in, it ended up being an item that was very, very small and not worth very much at all. So there is still a risk. Having a manifest is not going to guarantee that you're going to make your profit. You still don't know what's on them. You have a better idea with a manifest, but you don't actually know. And keep in mind, like I said, I really want to make sure that I tell you guys that if the risk is higher, your pallets are probably going to go for less. So manifests are probably going to lower your margin, but you'll have a higher guarantee that you'll have a margin. So that's really up to you. We talked a little bit about conditions. When you read on here, on these, you look at, the different kinds of conditions on here. You can actually look on bulk.com. They have something a little bit different. Like I said, not everything is going to be exact. They have brand new, like new, uninspected returns, scratch and dent, and salvage items. Like I said, not every liquidator is going to have these exact things, but it's going to be somewhere along the same lines of what we've already mentioned. So we talked about condition, we talked about the manifest, and one of the last things I want to talk to you about are pictures. A lot of times, like this particular item right here that we were looking at, this is the only picture that you have. So pictures are not very accurate, but there are some things that you can do to use the picture to see if maybe you can make some profit in here, to kind of give you an idea of whether or not you want to buy or bid on one of these items. So for this particular one, I want to do liquidation. This is liquidation.com. This is a place that Joe and I like to buy pallets from time to time, and different lots, but their pictures always make me laugh. I actually I don't know. I think that I have like a gift with liquidation.com pictures, but they're very, very, let me pull this auction up. So this is an auction that ends actually in just a few hours. But I'm looking at it here, and this is the picture that I have. I've got two pictures, and it's that one and it's that one. Now you can't really tell anything. Now this is also an unmanifested. It says view manifest, but if I click on it, the way that my settings are, you're not gonna be able to see it. It just says a pallet of assorted general merchandise, estimated retail $29.99. This right here, for every unmanifested item, that's going to be the MSRP that they put on there. So be sure to remember not to rely on that. I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that these are shelf pulls, which is good. We talked about shelf pulls. So remember, shelf pulls are not items that have been returned. So these might be things that, have damaged boxes, or they're overstock items, or what have you. So you're going to find some that might be, let's see what they say. For liquidation.com, they say that shelf pulls were previously available for sale in a retail environment but were never sold. They usually possess one or more price tags and stickers indicating multiple markdowns and have been exposed to appreciable customer contact. In addition, since most of these items are sent through the reverse supply chain, they can show signs of further handling. Accordingly, shelf pulls can exhibit a wide range of individual product and package conditions that differ substantially from the original manufacturing. So you can't guarantee that it's going to look like the brand new, but it could. And you can't guarantee that it's not going to be completely damaged beyond repair. We just know that they haven't been returned, so the likelihood of them being damaged is a lot lower. So let's see. So I'm going to look at this picture here, and right now I can see that this one has obviously been opened. I can't even really tell what that is. It looks like Duna, and I'm looking, it looks like maybe a car seat base from what I see here, which is nice. And it's a shelf pull, so I know like it hasn't been in an accident or anything like that. So it is resellable. And I look, let me see, I think there's another one that's a little bit, yeah, it's a little bit higher. This right here looks like it has a lot of the original packaging. These are items that I personally would have to sell local. The reason why is because they are so big that the way for me to sell these, I would probably lose most of my profit, if not lose money on it, trying to ship these items out, especially when I don't know what these items are. And I can only identify this one item here. All of these other items I cannot identify. If I look really carefully, like it looks like some of these boxes have been opened. This is a risky pallet for me, just because I cannot see it. It's general merchandise, so I don't even know, like, is it, you know, all baby goods, since I saw the, you know, since I saw the car seat base, and I really can't tell. I'm looking here. It is about to end in just a few minutes, and right now it's at $3.85. So you can arrange shipping. Those are things that you really want to think about. Are you living in a residential area? Because that's going to be an additional charge. Do you need help with the lift gate? Like, if do you like for them to have to bring it out for you? Do you have a pallet jack? You make sure that you have one of those. How much is shipping going to cost from the location that it's being sold at? So there's a lot of things that you really want to keep in mind when you're asking yourself, how are you going to sell these items? Make sure that you're being really realistic about the conditions. You know, and that, you know, you're not expecting to sell, you know, all of these items, you know, on an online marketplace, not realizing that it's going to cost quite a bit of money to ship them. Do you have a way to get rid of larger product? So yes. And then I have another one over here that I was like, whoa. Okay. So this is salvage condition. All right, so salvage assets, according to liquidation.com, have been identified as defective for reasons concerning their functionality, appearance, or both. Salvage assets usually can only be used for parts. So we don't know if they just look really ugly, but they work, or if they work, or if they don't work, but they look really nice and can be taken apart and used for parts. We really just don't know. A lot of this stuff is not in its original packaging. Like, you have these parts, like this looks like a cord or something that maybe has been used. This here is a headset, which is actually pretty cool. These are all like electronics, and a lot of people, they do really well with electronics, even salvage condition. It's not something that I would feel comfortable bidding on, but obviously somebody does. Look, this here, that's a silverware tray right there. So I don't even know what this is. That right there, it's some kind of putty. But this is Amazon. It says the MSRP is $9. Okay, so I've talked to you now about what to expect in terms of condition of pallets and lots. I've talked to you about the manifest and what to expect there, and I've also talked to you a little bit about what pictures look like. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, or if you'd like me to clarify anything, please post those down below. I'd love to hear. If you are a reseller and you also purchase pallets or lots, and you have any advice for those out there who are learning, please also comment those down below. And I really hope you appreciated this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. I super appreciate you, and we love you guys. Peace out.